All right, ladies. Happy Sunday
Happy
Happy
Sunday.
Sunday.
to the sixth edition of Sunday Brunch. Welcome with Penny Toler. We got our WNBA great GM and future Hall of Famer out of DC. You keeping your glass up. Then we got Towns living beyond you. I've developed development behavioral specialist from Bayonne, New Jersey. Welcome to the show, ladies. It's always a pleasure to have you guys every Sunday on our
Thank
brunch.
you. All right.
So today, what we're going to do is we're going to discuss the sample plan of action that Tara has for the WNBA and its employees that are now unemployed, and we're also going to discuss the importance of realigning ourselves as a culture during the aftermath of George Floyd's death, and we'll save that for last, because that right there is a sticky topic, and everybody's emotions are running high right now. But we Penny and we have been waiting in anticipation for a whole week for this sample, this plan of action we have, just solutions to some of these problems that we're having over at the WNBA with some of the girls not being able to play this season because of COVID. Am I right, Penny?
You're absolutely right. And I thought that Tara is the perfect person to bring us some of these solutions. And I hope a lot of people watch today because this is valuable information that she's going to be sharing with us today. So I've been excited all week long.
Thank you, guys.
All right, Tara, it is definitely your show. I definitely want to hear about it because, like I said, there's people out there right now, so much going on, so much hostility in the world. How do you think? How do you sift through all of the madness? How do you plan for the future when the future doesn't seem so bright?
Yes. Well, the first thing I want to say is everything must be organized, even your thoughts. Because right now, what we have going on in the country right now is because the emotions are displaced right now. So, correlating this to reaching your goals and maintaining while you've lost employment or just in the house feeling down, feeling unmotivated, your thoughts kind of go all over the place, and then it forms an anxiety which turns into then panic sometimes or depression. So treating that, number one, start off with everything is to always clear your mind, open your mind to being or shifting into a new pattern. I like to tell my clients and people that if you use the word change, words have baggage to them. So there's heavy baggage and there's light baggage, just like when we travel, right? So we want to travel light so that we can move about through that crowd quickly. So training your brain, and this is all of these things, these exercises, activities, and this information is strictly driven to redirect negative thoughts, negative patterns, and negative conditioning systems. I don't know about y'all, but if I want to be conditioned, I want it to be happy, good stuff. Do you know what I mean? And a lot of the conditioning systems that we've grown up with, they have put a lot of negative stuff into our threads. So ridding it is kind of difficult, especially when you have life's lemons and circumstances. You just get clouded. I call it mud moments. So we need to turn the mud moments into me moments so that we start healing, we start releasing, and we start reinventing ourselves. I always say I have the 3 R's. So this will be informational, and then there's going to be, because I'm experiential. So when I have clients, I do what we call graduated exposure therapy. They tell me that, they're afraid to say hello to people. Guess what? We're going to go say hello to 100 people together. So I'm with people 100%, and it really does work. I am a breakthrough coach, and I render breakthrough. And it's because we do things in order. So the first thing this is a piece of advice. Anyone can do this at home. This is what I do. I'm going to treat this situation as if you came to me for services. So we have a life wheel, and I'm going to hold this up. Can you guys see this?
Yeah, just hold it up just a little
Yeah.
higher.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
So on this wheel, this is your life wheel. Everything that is going to be shared today, make it personal, make it yourself. This is about you, your life. So this is your life wheel. In the life wheel, there are different categories, okay? There's health, there's wellness, there's money, there's career, there's family, and there's personal growth. And within this life wheel, you can do this at home. You color code it to yourself, and you put a percentage of where you are. So the percentage is 1 to 10. 1 meaning you're not satisfied, 10 meaning you are satisfied. You get this paper and you put your percentages in, because you need to know where you are if you want to know where you want to go, right? If you want to shift out of something. A lot of people come to me and say, I don't even know what I want to do with myself. I don't know how I get out of this depression. I don't know. I don't know. But you must know. You must connect to yourself to know how to get out of something, right? We can't tie a shoe without a shoelace without a shoe. So we need to find our laces. And so how we do this is we're starting to organize. If you look now, your brain should be like, okay, this is a something that I'm visual that I'm doing, and something that compartmentalizes all of the areas of my life. So I asked this question. If you had an emergency in your life right now in this moment in time on this wheel in these different areas that are already expressed, where, if it was bleeding out, where would I apply pressure first? So I like to graduate into things and not make it difficult, because once again, when we are teaching and retraining that brain, it cannot be overwhelming. Remember, it's already overwhelmed, right? It's already stuck. It's already in a mud moment. So we need to release this stuff. And believe it or not, the brain loves to be organized. The body's organized. It knows when to pick up that next breath. It knows when that heartbeat is ready to roll. It knows when you need to blink, when there's fire around your eyes. It's very, very smart. We lose touch with our brains and our bodies, not it. It knows exactly what to do every day. So if you retrain it out of that mentality of whatever it is, anxiety, fear, and depression in this moment in time, and we're specifically talking about, the women in the WNBA, the upcoming athletes who are kind of just really anxious about what's their next step in their life. How do we get there? We must be organized. It's a thought process first before you can implement anything. You want to go run 5 miles, you have to say, I want to run, I'm about to get up and put on my clothes to go run the 5 miles. You don't just hop out of your bed and go run 5 miles. It must be a thought. So it's retraining the brain, and I'm going to say that over and over, because even right now, I'm coaching right now. It's retraining the brain. Your self-talk is next. So now we have the life wheel once again with the areas in your life. You write them down. Maya color coded it for me because I like the brain to be fed excitement, happiness. Don't just scribble it out on a piece of paper. If you have to feel like a 5-year-old and do an art project, where to do it? It's fun. It's exciting. That's what we need. We need inspiration. That equals motivation. So once we get the life wheel going and we tackle, there's 6 areas on there, or 7 areas on there. Sometimes people have all 7, and I'm like, okay, well, I mean, if I came to me with that, that's going to be too much in the beginning. So you graduate. It's gradual exposure therapy. That's what this is. And it's experiential. So you want to experience it so that your brain attaches itself to your goal, not you attaching yourself to your goal. So next we do a contract, and it's a marriage contract. This is really cool. You can do this at home. You get your sponsor, because they'll be the person that witnesses your marriage to your goal. So we select 3 goals on that life wheel, 3 areas that I have to apply that pressure to stop the bleeding. And in these areas, whether it be money, health and wellness, personal growth, in this case, career, personal growth, health and wellness, this suits what's going on right now. We take that and we take those scores, and now we commit to a commitment contract. Now that's a marriage to your 3 goals and what you need to do to get there. I always tell people all the time, do not marry the goal. This is why goals are not kept. They are met, but the retention skills are not there because you forget about, you're not married to that. You say, oh, I want a new job. Then you get hired, but you forgot the process of it took you 50 interviews. It took you taking some classes. That's what you must marry because that will keep you in your position. Then you lose the job. Why? Because you really weren't committed to what it took to get there, just like weight loss. That's a big one. We can lose 20 pounds, gain 20. I'm guilty. You lose 5 pounds, gain 8 pounds back. And like, how did extra 3 come in there? What? But you forget when you pick up that piece of cake or your trigger food, if you're an emotional eater, you forget that you ran 5 miles a day, that you took 10,000 steps a day, 6 days a week, that you ate clean, that you did all of these things. You forget about that. So one of the major things or takeaways from everything that I'm about to finish talking about here is to just marry what it takes to do the goal, not the goal itself. Because the goal is going to be there, easy to meet really quickly, but that stuff in the middle is the real stuff, is the real nitty gritty, and that's where you shift out of a pattern. So once again, we're doing a life wheel, we're putting percentages where we're not satisfied, and now what? We are evolving a POA. So that was our reflection of where we are. Now we're going to revise so that we can reinvent. Those are my 3 R's. And so when we revise, this is the breakdown. That's what this does. If you look once again, organizing the thoughts, organizing the pattern, shifting, getting the brain set up to invite in something awesome. Because if you say to someone, and I've studied these things, if you say to someone, you need to change this, okay, right off the top, the brain is like, oh, it's something, it's a task, it's a pressure. Do you know what I mean? But if you say, let's shift into this, let's shift out of this, just that talking, just that way of thinking, it's lighter. Remember, words have baggage to them. It's lighter. That's not 10 suitcases. That's the little overnight bag and the little purse on the plane, and make it simple. Everything must be simple when you're retraining the brain. Do not cloud it, clutter it, or do too much. So once we have the POA, which I have a sample POA, I think I scratched out my client's name. Let me scratch that out because that's not right. But we have our plan of action, and you guys can do this at home. So we devise the plan. We set 3 goals, 3, not 6 on the paper. We all can find percentages in all areas, and then it's not realistic. So we set 3 goals and then 3 actions. That's why we call it POA, plan of action. So the 3 goals, let's just say if one goal was career, one goal was anxiety, and one goal was weight loss. Now there's a strategic plan set in place of how and what you're supposed to get married to that goes into your commitment contract. That contract is with you. So you're going to marry yourself. You're going to love yourself. You're going to marry what it takes, and it's all in a contract that you can even do a ceremony. I even have people write vows. I mean, I'm just putting this all into this one little segment, but there's a lot to the way that I coach. It's definitely not traditional. It's kind of off the wall sometimes, but it works. It's good. We need to shock our brain. We need to make it exciting. Just like if you just meet someone, you want it to be exciting. The brain is trained already, and you want to add in new information. So this opens up the window to you starting. I could even feel it now just speaking about it. It's bringing it down a notch, right? It's now like, I lost my job. I don't have money. I can't play. COVID's going on. The kids it's not that anymore. It's now like, I have a life wheel. I have percentages of satisfaction. I have a POA. I have goals. I have what I need to do. Now, how do we do that, right? Because a lot of people, once again, they come to me and they say, I just don't even know. You tell me. I don't even know. You do know. Life circumstances have just cut you off from really knowing and being in tune with yourself. And these are things that are really, really that are going to be important through getting through this time, especially for people who are cut, who are not employed. I mean, you have time now to reconnect with yourself that you didn't have before. And what you come out of this with can be better than what you thought you had to begin with, because that's what life does. So what we do now is we make this contract with ourselves, the commitment contract. It's nice to have a witness. It's nice to write vows. Once again, these are tips. Experiential. Have fun with it. If you want to put on a wedding dress, you're in home now. I don't want to say stuck. I want to say safe at home. Put on a wedding dress. Get dressed up, because you are dressing up to greet your greatness. So why wouldn't it be a party? Your mind must think in these ways to counteract all of those negative things. It may sound silly, it may sound simple, but it really, really, this stuff really, really works. So we get that, and we now make a commitment to ourselves. We put it in a contract form, and then we have a witness sign it, because that's our accountability person along the way. You know, we use the terminology, it takes a village to raise children, but it also takes a village when you want to shift out of a pattern, because our egos love to hold on to a pattern that it's used to. You see, that is the real breakdown. And anything that you need to grow through, I don't say go through, but grow through it, you have to learn, you have to see that the ego holds on to it, so it will resist the new thing coming about, and it will fight against it. That's what it's designed to do, to be in control. We need the ego, but we also need the id. The id gives us our peace, right? We have two things to us. Ego gives us our go-getting stuff, our being in control of things, but the id, and when it's too much ego, that id kind of suffers, and it's like, and that's where you get an imbalance. That's where you'll get emotional about things, or you start feeling bad about things, because that id is screaming to have the balance with the ego. So what do we do next? We have to empty out stuff, right? I feel that we have this little square in life, this tiny little square amongst all of these billions of people, and our square can expand if we want to, and it can close if we want to. Situations close our square, right? Being in control of our situations, being excited about things, and learning how to cope with things expands our square. But circumstances, and then some people just do this, and it's a square. It's the best square I can make with my hands. It looks like a circle. But the square, like the square begins to shrink, because our circumstances begin to shrink us, because they are bombarded with stuff. Okay, stuff that makes us stuck, mud moments. Once again, start training your brain to say, me moments over mud moments, micro goals over master goals. These are things that will seriously start shifting your being, because that self-talk is so important. So the next thing, after we have the contract, now we get into the exercises and the activities. The one thing I do is, I don't believe in, some people in my field believe in stuffing, just pushing down things that are already there and replacing them with happy things. And I say that sounds wonderful, but you have people who have been in situations, abuse, neglect situations, since they were children, infants. So that's a lot of suppressing and a lot of happiness to be added on to do that. In my opinion, and my experience, remember, I get breakthrough with my clients, so I'm speaking from experience. That has not worked. So I believe that we must get stuff out. Getting stuff out is beyond important, but it's how you get it out, right? So if we get it out, when we scream at people, we get upset, and we over-exaggerate situations, that's not the way to get it out. And if we sit here and say, okay, I'm going to take a deep breath, and now my mortgage is going to be paid, that's not realistic either. But you can take that deep breath and say, okay, now that I'm calm, I can come up with a plan to get my mortgage paid. So it's all about emptying out, so that we don't circle the airport, because we don't want to circle the airport. We circle the airport with anything, it's not going to land, and then what happens? You run out of fuel, and then you crash. So we don't want to crash. We want to face these things. It's facing the music. It's losing the dance with fear. That's the monster in this, and that is what's going on in this nation right now. Hate, All of these things is just fear, 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 fear. So we need to lose that dance with fear, and we need to open ourselves up to a fantabulous life, whatever that means to us. So some of the exercises that I do with my clients, we have to empty out now. Now we have an internal house, right? Now it was stuffed with furniture, stuffed with clothing. I say it was time to clean out the closet. We know where we are. We have our 3 goals. We have our 3 actions that we will apply once we learn how or reconnect with it. Now it's how do we do it? Because you can't add stuff to stuff. You just get a big mess. You get overwhelmed. So we want to compartmentalize once again. We want to organize. And I'm saying these words on purpose because it's retraining the brain as we speak right now. We want to organize our thoughts. So how do we do that? So one exercise I do is I have people write everything out in their brain, even if it doesn't make sense, just like as if you're just rambling to someone. And you write it on a piece of paper, and you do not rip the paper up, crumble it, throw it in the trash, because once again, treating anything needs to be a protocol. It needs to be organized. You cannot say, oh, 50 million thoughts, now I'm throwing it out. 5, they'll never come back. Guess what? The minute you start going to sleep or something else happens, guess what's going to happen? All of that stuff is going to come back because you're not being realistic. You got to be real when you connect to yourself. You have to be honest and you have to be real. And even if you don't like what you see, you have to give yourself a big hug anyway and keep it moving, because that is called getting to breakthrough. So what you do, you get everything out on this paper, whatever you want to do, and you strip it one by one. These are all brain games. These are all, you strip the paper one by one because you're telling your brain, I'm going to deal with this one by one by one until the whole sheet is ripped up. Then we can crumble it once we really individually knock things down and throw it in the trash. That means it's out of us completely. And now we are open. We have an open square again, and we can put in what we want to put in there. Not with abuse put in there, not with parenting put in there, not with traumatic experiences put in there, because that's really all of this stuff. Even if we were able to, have a smooth ride thus far, and all of a sudden people are saying, I never knew I had panic. I never knew I had anxiety until COVID. It's not COVID. You always had anxiety. You were just trained to placate it. You were trained to say, oh, okay, I'll get back to it later, and you never dealt with it. That's why it's popping up when we have nothing but time on our hands. So that is one exercise to do as far as releasing. Another thing to do that I have people do is, I'm big on affirmations, but I like when our subconscious, remember, it's nosy and busy, and it collects our information and information from the news and information from other people. And that's why a lot of the stuff that we have going on heightens anxiety as well. So I kind of limit my, news watching, and I don't watch TV, but, we need to know what's going on. So another exercise I have people do is they record their own affirmations, okay? But we have to release first. So I release the need to overeat. I release the need to get upset when someone upsets me. I release the need to react versus respond. And you say these things. This is in the beginning with the releasing, because remember, we can't put in if it's not emptied out. So releasing that need, but telling your subconscious this when you are in a sleepy state, when it's not nosy, paying attention to everything, and the conscious and the subconscious fights just like the ego and the id fight, and you start telling yourself this. Now, I don't know about you, but I know with me, when I hear myself, to me, it's soothing. It's like my mother's talking to me, and she's no longer here with me. I'm not listening. Once again, it's simple. I'm not listening to what someone told me to do. This is my private time with me. When people say, okay, you say connect to your inside, how? I'm telling you how right now. These things are true and they work. You need to talk to you. You need to have a conversation with you. And when you are in that subdued mood and that place where there's no distractions, which is when you're falling asleep, this is like hypnotizing yourself, but you start listening. Your subconscious will say, okay, this is me, so I'm going to listen to me, and It's in a place where it's calm, it's soothing, you're about to go to sleep. Do those affirmations on your phone. Put that next to you. Even if you're in a meditative state, let yourself hear yourself, because we definitely have a soul within us that we need to connect to. That is really, really the bottom line. When people say, how do you connect to yourself? It sounds great. Well, these are things that will definitely connect you to yourself. So we're releasing. Remember, we can do that exercise with writing things down, tearing them apart in graduated in a graduated fashion, because we just don't want to, it's just not realistic. The whole thing of everything that I'm saying and all of these exercises is to be real and true, because guess what? There's no one but you. There's no jury. There's no judge. It's just you. So you don't have to lie to you. You don't have to say, yes, I'm already 20 pounds lighter. No, you're not. You need to lose 40. You know, when women say, people say, what size are you? Oh, I'm about a 7'8". That's really like a 9, 10, or an 11 sometimes. It's the truth. Or the shoe size. The shoe size. Oh, I'm like an 8, 9. Nope, it's either 8 or a 9. Okay, stop and try to squeeze your feet in 9s, and they don't belong to you, or in 8s and vice versa. So anyway, being real with yourself, because that's what's going to get all of this stuff out. If you're frustrated that you got cut, if you're mad, and I don't use the P word, but pissed off, if that's what, say that on that paper and strip it away little by little. Another thing I have people do is, I don't have them, so you can create your own, but I have these little vials, these little jars, and we put emotions inside of them. And I have people hold them in their hand and then say, I release the need to cry all the time. I release the need to swear all the time. I release the need to, whatever they want to release. We even put people in those little vials when they have to forgive people. But this is, I don't want to bombard. I just want to give simple techniques. But it's very in-depth, you know, when I work with someone. So your self-talk, once again, so we're going to retract. The wheel, your percentage, your 3 goals, your 3 actions. Now we're here. We made the commitment. Okay, I see them now. Now what am I going to do about it? We get what we're going to do about it. And then we put it into action. We have to clean the house first. We did that, right? All of these exercises are all to get stuff out of you. And you do it at your pace, because sometimes there's a lot of trauma, and bringing up all that trauma can actually have an adverse reaction. So that's why we do it all compartmentalized. We don't take on all 7 areas of life. We take on the 3 top areas that we need to stop the bleeding in. So once we release, we go into our plan of action, which is the fun part. So this is where everyone needs the help. Because it's like, okay, now I have all this stuff written down. Now what do I do? You see, that's why I have you. Anyway, this is I scratched out my client's name, but I just wanted to just show you the plan of action that I did for one of my clients. Okay, so in this, if you could see it, there's the 3 goals, and then there's the 3 actions. So in this case, it applies. That's why I chose this client in particular. She has a fear. She's stuck in career because, once again, she's not an athlete, but she's a woman, single mom, and she's stuck in her career. And those are her words, the word stuck. So what I put for her is she said, I don't know what I want to do. This is a big one. I don't know my purpose down here. I'm great at what I do. I got my degree, but I just don't feel fulfilled. The best way, this is a tip, to find out what you like is to visit what you don't like. Okay? It is very, very, it's like the Bible to this. Years ago in the beginning, when people had breakdowns, I would have them do a list of all of their likes. Okay, you already know your likes. But do you really know what you don't like? So start looking at careers that you would never, ever, I would never do that. I would never be that. Look up those. Start researching. You're at home. You can go on your computer, start researching those careers, not intending upon doing them, but eliminating what you know you don't want to do. But sometimes, and this is true, it's happened quite often, I have people say, I never thought I would want to do this, but guess what? I want to do this. Now that I researched this, now that I had to talk to 5 people in the field, of what she didn't want. I had to pick 3 things, and she actually picked one of those things that she thought she could not ever do in her life. That is because a lot of our inner self and things that we want to do as a child are pushed away by other people. So we may not remember that we wanted to be a nurse and that we used to play with the dolls being a nurse all the time, but we had doctors and lawyers in the family, or we had, teachers in the family, and they started shaping us towards, oh no, you're going to be a teacher just like mommy, and giving you things that speaks teacher instead of a nurse. So along the way, you thought all along in your life you wanted to be a teacher because that's your conditioning system. But guess what? Underneath all of that stuff, there was a nurse there. So there are things that lie underneath us that we have been separated from due to others. So connecting, once again, this is about me, right? Me moments versus mud moments. And micro goals versus master goals. This is the butter to the bread. Seriously, when you shrink everything down, you can focus better and you can obtain and reach your goals way better than when you give yourself. If I just handed her this and I didn't know her, oh my God, I would say, you're fired. That's too much. I don't even know you. It's too much. That's how our brains think. They fire us and then they take over. When it becomes too much information, too much anxieties, too many thoughts, your brain says, look, I'm done with you. Now you're setting us in, fight or flight mode, or you're setting us in survival mode when we never even had to get there. It's everything. We are everything to ourselves. So when you get your plan of action, obviously we need assistance sometimes in knowing the meat, right, that we're supposed to marry, because I know that would be my question to me. Like, yes, you're giving us an outline, but where does the meat come from? But these exercises, the releasing, putting things on paper that you don't like, believe it or not, these are things that will start writing your POA. They are your guide. If you know what you really, really, really don't like, sometimes you like what you really don't like. That's the point of that. And that could be your new career choice, right? Or you just pick 3 areas that you or maybe the maybe zone, that I may explore. Those 9 times out of 10 is something that you don't like and it's something that you're exploring. A lot of times when people come to me and say they're done with their career or they don't feel fulfilled, believe me, it's because it's the truth. They're not fulfilled because it's not really what they wanted to do. They just did it. Oh, my mom went to this college, and oh, my dad went to this college, and oh, they said I was supposed to do this. That's 9 times out of 10, believe it or not. So once we get that, once we do those 2 exercises can really, really help. And even the one, if you just buy the dollar store sells these little clear little vials, and you can put people in there. You can put fear in there. You can and just release it, drop it, put it in your hand because you're owning it, and then release it and let it go. Let it go. Let all of it go. But there's a process to letting go. Not everyone can let go like that. So once we get into how we get the information, if you don't have a coach and therapist to assist you in finding the POA, these are exercises that will start honing it down at least to give you your own outline, because it is your life, it is your goal, it is your mental state. It's all about you. We are just here to assist. That's it. We're not here to do it for you. Some coaches do. You need to get up at 9 o'clock. I don't do that. I don't do that at all. If you need to get up at 9 o'clock, I will invite you to see why you need to get up at 9 o'clock. And then your brain will say, oh, I got to be to work on time, or I'm going to lose my job. So that will make you get up, and I won't have to say you need to get up at 9 o'clock. But getting to the self-talk, because it's defeating, right? I hear people say lots of the time, that's killing me, or she's killing me, she's horrible, she's annoying, he's annoying. Believe it or not, the more you say those things, you either become them yourself, or you start building up anxiety in yourself that, guess what, doesn't have to be there, never had to be there. How is someone being annoying bothering your day? If you really think of the logic, like, really, that should not even bother your day, especially if it's things that are not directed at you. So a little trick that I do, I've been doing this before therapy and life coaching with my kids, And in the beginning, when they were little, they couldn't stand it, but their self-talk is amazing. I'm serious. It's not self-defeating because they've been trained or introduced to it very, very early. So when we have siblings, I'm guilty. I can't stand him. He's so annoying when he does that. He stinks or he's annoying. He's this, he's that. So when they used to come to me with this, I used to say, listen, he's what? And so they would say, he's annoying. And I would say, no. So what I started doing with them, I said, find another word this is a brain game. Find another word that starts with an A that you can say about your brother. Of course, Maya said, he's still annoying. I'm like, hey, what's another word that you can say? I'm training her brain. She's resisting. You see that ego's fighting to stay with that annoying. But the id wants to say, I can consider saying something else. So I say, he is what? And she goes, he's amazing. And at first they get annoyed when they do it because she knows he's not being amazing. He is being annoying in that moment. But I wanted her brain to not take on the pressure of his annoying things that he used to do to her when they were little. So he's amazing. And as they got older into the teenage part, when they was, bigger stuff came about, and she's like, or he would come and say, she's so, they stop and they say, she's so amazing with this situation. But Mom, how do I approach this? You see what I'm saying? You give your brain an opportunity. That's training your brain to respond and not react. So bringing this back to the players, we need to respond to what's going on, not react, because you have so many things. Your legs are taken away from you in this moment in time. Some of you have children, mothers, spouses, everything. It's too much. The goal, the key is to compartmentalize, organize, self-talk. I'm going to get to relaxation techniques. Self-talk, POA, plan of action, execution of the plan of action. It starts to even make it lighter, lighter, lighter. When you have a clear head, you can make a sound decision. When you have a messy head, you cannot make a sound decision. And that's where anxieties, depressions, everything comes into play on a negative side. So that technique can work with you or your children or anyone that you're around that's complaining or being negative about another person. We all have issues where we can cite a citation, so to speak. I've had my kids, come on, can I just present? Yes, you can, but we're not going to do judge and jury because they're not here. Don't run in the room and present talking about them. Bring them with you if you want to really go to court right now. You seriously, it's strategies, it's role play, it's dramatic play. These things do not have to leave us when they're adults. We actually need them, and we just cut ourselves off. And once again, that's how you get to know yourself, what you like and what you don't like. So once again, replace a negative word with another word, the same letter though, because you're training your brain to not use annoying basically anymore, but to use amazing, instead of that. That starts feeding. We want to change our threads. That starts feeding our new threads so that we can walk around without popping positivity and be happy and feed our happy hormones, because there really are hormones, there's 4, but there's 3 that really, really love stuff like this. And it keeps us, when we say depression, it's a mood. It's a hormone depletion. Endorphins, dopamine, serotonin, those are all your hormones that make you like really, really happy or not. So these things is all in your brain. These things feed that chemical impulse to be excited, to be happy. Now, I always say this, outside, because I have mothers that I coach that have lost children. Only God gets me through those sessions, honestly, because I am a mother and I can't even sit here and say, yay. No, I'm not even going to. See, I'm being honest right now. However, I just assist them with coping the best way that they can in that moment in time. If this doesn't have to do with death, and it's just a career, a spouse, children, you know what? You can do it. Anything can be shifted. When you think of it as shifting and not changing, remember, words have baggage. So we're making it a light trip. So change, I have to stop smoking. How about I show you why you need to stop smoking, because people die from cancer. Your children can die from secondhand smoke that you give them. Your children can have ear infections that make them not hear. Right there, for really, really good reasons. Now that brain starts to say, smoking really isn't good for me. You see, we just need to, once again, redirect those thoughts. So once we do exercises to release the things that we spoke about, writing things out, tearing off the paper one by one, the affirmations saying you release the need, the vials, the little jars that you could put something in that drop plastic. I don't want glass on the floor. Those things start getting the stuff out to put the new stuff in. Now the new stuff is on its way. What is that? That's our self-talk. We're changing it, or shifting it to being positive. We're opening up our minds to use different words that we normally wouldn't use in those situations. You notice how, like, when something is good, we can always say, oh my God, that was amazing. I love that. And you feel all excited about it. Well, why, when someone's, your words, annoying you, why must we get into their emotions? Not necessary. That stuff needs to roll off of us like we have a raincoat on. I'm serious. Those drops don't need to land on us. They can visit, but they got to go. And just training yourself to constantly do this, you begin to start feeling it. In the beginning, I have people, I'm 2 weeks in and my affirmations, I still want to do this. I'm like, I know, because that's your ego. Okay, that's just the bottom line of what that is. And then 2 weeks later, oh my God, my husband is so much nicer to me. Why? Because you're shifting in your energy to him, even if he does start it. Do you see what I'm saying? It's owning up to where we are so that we can devise a new plan of action to go where we want to go, which we all deserve peace, we all deserve balance, and we all deserve happiness. Now I'm going to get to balance. Relaxation. It's so hard for people who have, demanding careers, and even at-home moms. I tell you, I get at-home moms, and they say to me, oh, I may not have the education. I said, no. We don't even talk about what you don't have. Let's talk about what you do have. And what you have is a company that you run every day. At-home moms, some of them are the bombs. They have schedules on the refrigerator, Tuesday, Wednesday, 7. I mean, they're like the scheduling queens. I don't even know how they do that with 5 kids, and it's on point. They're never late. You're a boss. You're just a boss in your home. It's the same thing. So people who have or bombarded with heavy things, and all of a sudden it's taken away. Can you imagine a mom who's at home and now she's an empty nester, and she's been doing this for 20 years with 5 kids and they're all gone? Of course she's going to go into a depression. Of course she's going to feel like someone died because a piece of her did die. But it's shifting her mindset to believe that this was the death of that situation. But now I have an open space in my square to create everything I want to create. Hey, I wanted to write a book and I never could because I was tied down to 8 different softball games on Wednesdays and Thursdays. Now you have your Wednesdays and Thursdays. Now you have Corona. You may have been cut. You may are not playing right now. You may be not coaching right now. But what else do you have? You have other things in you. We didn't come into this world with just one thing that we were good at. I have people that come to me and say, I'm talented in 7 areas. I don't even know what to do. I do them all. And I say they're suffering because picking 1 or 2 may be the wise thing, and then you can gradually graduate into the other areas. But you're not just here to do one thing. Seek other things within yourself, but knowing yourself first. Once again, it goes back to knowing where you are and knowing what you don't like so you can discover what you do like. So relaxation techniques. I had this room in my home, and they know they cannot come in. It's called the relaxation station. Do not bother me when I'm in there. That is my place. It doesn't have to be a room. It could be a closet. It could be a little corner somewhere. Mine was an entire room dedicated to relaxing. So I had pillows on the floor. I had my candles in there. I journaled in there. I talked to God in there. I prayed. I do 858. That's just my meditation. It could be any number that you like or feel comfortable with. I meditated in there, but there was a respect. Once again, we're training the brain into a new way of thinking. Relaxing is a priority, okay? No one, I mean, everyone that comes to me says, I don't have this time. I've said it. I don't have the time to relax. How can I relax? you know what? You need to make a time to relax, because there are 24 hours in a day, and the time that we put into other things, you read a newspaper for 30 minutes. Oh, I have to, it's a pattern. Take that newspaper, could take the back seat to this trip. You need to relax. Relax. Take that time. Like shift out of something, switch out of something that you did consistently in a pattern and shift it into you need to relax. This is where we grow to the moon and beyond in self. I personally could not walk. I had a traumatic situation where I could not walk for almost 9 months. Barely. I could walk, but it was barely, barely, barely. Suffered a severe neck injury. I was everything that I'm saying. I was homes, businesses, working 17, 18 hours, never relaxing, poor eating habit, like just everything, until my butt got sat down somewhere. And I got sat down because God and the universe were ready to reveal to me what I'm here to do. And so I say that to say, number one, it's a testimony, because I am walking 10,000 steps every day, and sometimes 11,000 from 250. Okay, so that's a testimony. But I had to go into my soul to get through that transition out of that situation. Because you're taking someone, a busybody, Energizer bunny, and then you're just laying them down in a bed. I literally thought I was going to not be alive, just being honest. I don't really use the word death, or lose my mind. Neither happened to me. I'm here. But I had to take the time that I had. This is correlating it once again to the women at home now, WNBA, coaches, athletes. You have time now, okay? So you can still do your eating well, you're working out. I have a treadmill in my house, home gym, little stuff. But your mind is the masterpiece in the battlefield with what's going on now. And getting your mind retrained is work, and it's repetition. Just like someone told someone, you're not attractive for 30 years of their life. That's 30 years of every day hearing that you're not attractive. Do you understand the work it's going to take to get rid of that? But you can get rid of that. So I have the relaxation station. You can call it whatever you want to call it. It is my place of peace. I call it popping, place of peace. I pop in there, and no one gets to pop with me unless I want them to. And 9 times out of 10, I'm not sharing that space, because we do need me moments. We really do. And now we have them. Now is the time, in my personal belief, that people can become anything that they want to become. You can, when the doors open once again, you can be a published author. You can do it all online. Find things that suit the circumstances. And even if it's a job that's going to be outside of the circumstances, if you need to take classes, get your butt online and start taking those classes. Talk to 5 people in that area. Prepare for the battle. Don't wait. That's how armies lose. When they don't know their territory, when they don't have their key people put in place, when they don't have their ammunition, that's how they lose the battle. When you have your classes in place, when you know what you don't like so that you know what you do like, when you talk to 5 people who are very, very successful in this area and 5 people who weren't, you don't just have to seek out successors and mentoring. Mentoring can also come from people who have failed at things. That's amazing testimony. And now they have the other side of the opposition. So prepare. You're in the battlefield right now in your house. You're safe. Now it's your time. Get your gear. Get your ammunition. That's what all of these things do. But they need to be done from a relaxed state so that you are clear. You need clarity. That closet needs to be cleaned out if you want to go shopping again for clothes, for new clothes. You got to clean out some stuff. You got to give some stuff away. So with all of that being said, those are things that I start people off with. And lastly, I want to say that before, even when I talk to people and decide if I'm going to, because I don't take every single person that comes to me. I really love to get people. Some people don't know that they're not ready, and it's the truth. They think that they are, but time is a factor. So it's not that I only work with people that are ready, but I just know, I can tell by gestures when I speak to them. I could tell eye movement, breathing when they're talking to me. I'm trained to know these signs that they're really, really ready for a shift, and that's when we have best, we have best results with that. But I've worked with people who have not. I'm not saying that. But I like to encourage the people. I'm not a doctor of the mind, not a MD, but I love to encourage people. I'm holistic, so I'm a pescatarian, and then I also take supplementation. But I like people to do a 3-day cleanse. 3 is my little favorite number if you can't see the pattern in me. But it could be 2, it could be 5. But I like people to do a 3-day cleanse before they even encounter my session. And that's because, once again, when sugars and processed foods are out of your system, you can think clearly. I have clients who are children who their behavior is their parents want to give them to another family member. And I've heard those words, true stories. And now they're, oh my God, there was a little angel inside here. No, kids are going to be kids, but behavior is a sign, even in adults, of I need something. Behavior is a sign of I need something, not I'm doing something or I am something. I need you to pay attention to me for some reason. And in children, I don't know what it is. In adults, we just talked about it. A lot of people don't know why they're depressed. They don't know what job they want to do. They don't know what's next for them. It's the same as a child. But once again, honing in on what is the breakdown, number one. You cannot have a breakthrough without knowing what the breakdown is. These things connect you to you, they rediscover you, and they present you to your greatness. We all are born with greatness. I have seen turnaround stories that would spin, I could be here all day long, and that's what feeds me. That's what keeps me going to the next person. I love breakthrough. Even when I render it myself or I see it in my kids, it never stops, but that's my inspiration. It keeps me motivated to keep on moving. So that's, like I said, clean foods is best before you engage in this because you're shifting everything. So you want to have a clear mind. And then I'm not a doctor, so I'm saying this again, I'm not. But vitamin D, we've been trained to think that vitamin D is great for your bones. Vitamin D feeds those hormones that I just spoke of. Vitamin D actually can pull someone out of a manic, which is the deepest state of depression, and bipolar tendencies increase when people are on like 5 and 12,000 milligrams a day. Once again, I'm not saying to do this. I do it. I take 10,000 a day. Vitamin D is amazing. It really is. And in COVID, we're not going outside as much. Some of us don't get a lot of sunshine where we are in South Dakota. But vitamin D is your sunshine, and not just the sun that beams on you. It's the sunshine inside of your body that inspires and invokes all of the happy hormones. We want to feed those happy hormones always. Keep them like that. Even if it goes down a little bit, we want to feed them always. That is the food. That is the place where we begin, because it reduces the stress hormones that are already not really in your brain, in your stomach, just to let people know. Stress hormones also in your stomach. So what you put in it can trigger them either this way or that way. So all in one breath. And I know it's a lot of information. And if you guys have any questions or anything like that, but these are some things that I have seen it in other people, not just because I'm saying them. I have seen it and I live them. I practice what I preach, and my children practice what I preach, and now they preach their own story, and it's positive. So I just want to say this is a great start for anyone at home going through these things.
But Tara, this is Penny. I can tell you right now,
Okay.
that was amazing. And I'm hoping that you would see me look down at my paper, or I may have looked like I was looking off, but you know what? I was taking my own notes. And you know what? I'm going to steal your popping, my place of peace.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? My place of peace. And I'm hoping that everybody gets what you were saying, especially about the micro and the macro, because when I was listening to you talk about the micro and the macro, I kind of related the micro to, hey, these are our little wins. These are our little victories. So as opposed to focusing on the whole war, let's break down the war and get to those little pieces that, you know, which gets us, like what you were saying, basically trusting the process. And if we can get those little wins, the one win on top of another win on top of another win, you win the war. I'm a true believer in affirmations. You know, I once I got older, you know, but I always been a believer in words. I always thought words were powerful because the words
Hmm.
we say is what we become. I've always believed that. And, affirmations, even just going through my own devastating moment a couple of months ago, and those affirmations got me through. But the faith and believing in yourself, and this is where
Yes.
that popping come in, where sometimes you got to get right with yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And I relate all
Absolutely.
that to, and I want to tell you, I took a lesson today because all that
Oh,
goes back to what you're
yay.
saying. No, don't push it down. Get rid of it.
Yes.
Clean out the closet. Because when you clean out the
Amen.
closet, I'm just summing it up. Hey, here's your clarity. And once you have your clarity, you can have everything else. So I wanted to just let you know
Amen.
that, hey, I was homing in there. And I'm hoping that everybody
Yay.
else take it because it was great information. I just wanted to show you what I summed it up to be. And I'm like, hey, this can go
Thank
for
you.
this, and that.
Yes.
So I've learned
Amen.
some stuff. And hey, you're popping. I love it. I'm about to steal it.
That's okay. Take it.
Yeah.
I'm glad, Penny. That warms my heart. I know it was long-winded, but I tried to crunch in as much as I could in this little time frame. But yeah, that's you got it. That's it. That's the recipe for success. It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a
So I
nice,
enjoyed it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
yeah,
My pleasure.
yeah, it was a nice mini tutorial piggybacking off. I definitely the micro goals definitely stood out with me because I'm always setting huge goals and you forget about the small victories, and so that weighed heavy on my heart. But I mean, there were so many things that stood out, and I definitely took notes, and especially when you talk about marrying what it takes. Because it takes a commitment to the process, and that stuck with me, and the importance of words when retraining the brain, and the contract, and no one talks about id. Everyone always talks about the ego. So for you to elaborate on the id and what it does was good because everyone and all of us are so ego driven. Um, it's absolutely amazing. And then the three goals and the three actions, and that stood out. And then the biggest thing that you talked about to me was just releasing, and just letting some things go. Sometimes it's depending on the circumstances. Sometimes things can be rough. Um, like with the girls, in the last couple of days, some people got
Yes.
dealt a in regards to the WNBA and not making the roster. And so, some of those things take time to get over. But what you got to do sometimes when things like that happen, you got to get up and hit the ground running and try to redirect yourself as quickly as possible so that you don't get stuck in that rut. And that's where those micro goals begin, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, and with all those players that got cut last week, it goes back to too, once like Tara was saying, compartmentalizing stuff, that that wasn't even personal. So don't take it personal. It
Yes.
was business. But now what's the solution? Getting clear on that was business. But also staying clear on that, hey, guess what? This isn't final. I gotta stay ready. I gotta stay in shape. I gotta keep my mind right, which was what she was talking about, because guess what? If this ball get rolling, people get cut. And I gotta
Hmm.
stay ready, and I gotta stay focused, you know? And that's why I say it was amazing, the how you say, the tools that you were dishing out. And I hope that people, realize there was a lot of information in there, but a lot of good information.
Yeah,
A lot of good information. A lot of good information.
was, the good thing about this is that once it's up there, that person can go back and look at it over and over again on YouTube, and
Yes.
help themselves uh, come to some type of solution. A lot of times we go out and we look for people to help us when the help is right within.
Yes.
And you hit the nail on the head. We're talking about quieting yourself and having that moment where you're meditating and you're relaxing. That's definitely important.
And then
Most
another thing
certainly.
I thought, and it took me all the way back and it's funny how we forget things. It took me all the way back. I was a GM for 20 years, and it took me all the way back to when Johnny Bus told me, "Okay, Penny, you got the job, like to be the GM, right?" And this is kind of fun. I'm laughing, I'm smiling because it is how I looked at when I got this job. And it was something you said that people are not going to realize, and I'm going to point it out to you and give an example to the people that are listening to this. When I became the GM, my most valuable lesson was, you know what it was? I knew what not to do because I had seen what not to do. So I said, I could start with, I seen it done wrong. So let me make sure I don't do any of those things. You know how you say your lessons in sometime when you see it being done failing,
Right.
you take those lessons and you build on those, So when I said to my CEO, I said, well, I know what not to do because that's why the other GM didn't have her job. And I kind of built on that and took the lessons from that to build on my career and what I want to do and how I want to proceed and what type of GM that I wanted to be. So like you say, sometimes it's in those negative moments or those moments that don't work that we do find what to do and how to do it.
Yes,
And it
definitely.
led to a 20-year career for me. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, absolutely. And with those things, you know, come a lot of ups and downs, and especially in the basketball community. So, with that being said, with our closing thoughts, elaborate a little bit on, some of the things that have been going on. I mean, this has been a stressful past week, especially with the things that have happened with George Floyd and such a terrible tragedy. There's so many frustrations that are going on, and we're a lot of hostility and rioting and looting, and just for the purpose of trying to calm some minds. Tower, what are some closing thoughts that you can give to some people that are out there that are looking for some clarity and some peace of mind, and maybe some things that they can do to quiet their mind in these trying days?
Well, I first want to say that I can definitely understand with the order of chaos right now. I really can, because they're trying, but they're just blatant and they are horrific, and we really must not make light of them. However, on the flip side, I think that focusing on you once again and your family, if you're a mom, a dad, you have children, you have parents that you need to take care of, it's not worth your life to bring attention to the life that was taken. Now, I'm saying this cry, the government needs to pay attention, okay? The city officials need to pay attention. But us as a people, we really need to love each other in this time and to be aware. But once again, use that. This is a time to prepare, even with that, to prepare for when you do go out into something like that. People, I do behavior. So I know that the level of emotion that people are on right now, you are not going to get normal behavior, right? I just talked about the child who throws the tantrums because they want someone to pay attention to something in them. So I just think having the mindset of thinking about your action, responding, we can do more through voting than we can through burning homes down. We can do more through voting, right? Because we get to put those people who make the decisions into power or not. So I say, please register to vote. Start looking into who's going to be running your city, commissioners, police officers, government officials, state reps. Is not just the president, of course, him. He comes into play with this, but just relax. Like that place that popping, that Penny says she's going to use. Sometimes you're not popping. Sometimes there is no place of peace. And that's obviously what people are showing us right now. But it's learning how to self-soothe even through horrific circumstances. Like a baby screams when they're hungry and they need that bottle, and you give them, they don't know how to self-soothe yet. But when they reach about 4 months or 3 months, they could put their fingers in their mouth, they could put their toes in their mouth, and they wait patiently for a bottle, some of them. So my point being is, it's time to seriously get yourself in order no matter what you're trying to do in this house while we have this time, get your life set up for real to live your best life, but have your armor. This is the time to put your armor on. And jumping into the fire is only going to burn you, is my point. It's not going to help. We can't lose any more people. I mean, people are even dying from this now, our people. So we don't want out more of our people to die or get thrown in jail or to be ran over by cars and stomped on. We want less of that. So we can still show them, but we can show them in numbers and in voting. That's just my opinion. Also, too, my heart goes out to the families. I mean, I cried when I watched that video, and I watched it 3 times and could no longer watch it again. But it's horrific, and it was murder, and I'm just going to be open with that, too. It's not an opinion, it's what we saw. But we can respond to this instead of react, you guys. We really can, and we can still have power in numbers and in voting.
Absolutely. Powerful statement right there. You know, we can definitely get out there and vote. That's what we need to do. That's what we should have been doing. We can change a lot in numbers. We definitely can do that. Penny, you have any closing thoughts?
My thoughts, to echo some of the sentiments that Tara said. I think people are like, enough. It's overwhelming, dealing with a pandemic, and you have all these things going on, and then you have such racial issues that's going on right now. I think that a lot of people want to be better, and they expect better behavior from our leaders. When I say leaders, people that are in position of power, just focusing on the police right here, the president, the police, anybody that has an opportunity to be in a position of power, you have almost certain like a double duty. To whom much is given, much is expected. So to watch something that happened this week where someone loses their life on something that, if you look at it clearly, the guy was in handcuffs and 3 people holding him down and he loses life, when clearly there was a better way. And yeah, being Afro-American, yeah, we see it all the time now, what's happening to us. Like, we're dying for stuff that's really we shouldn't be dying for, and I think that the world is, everybody, you see it on TV. People want to be better. People expect better behavior, but yet in times of difficulty, people keep bowing down to all these little things it tears the nation apart. America supposed to be the home of the free, the home of the brave, all these things, and yet we're still demonstrating that we have still not learned our lesson from the past, that no, we need more compassion. We need more understanding. And all these stuff start with us. And not to sound corny, it's like Michael Jackson said in one of his records, look in the mirror. You have to start with you. But a lot of people talk and say they're doing these things and they want to be better. No, your actions, less talking and more action, compassion, understanding, knowing that we live in a world where there's so many differences, but that's what makes America great, because we all included. And you have to open your arms and love your brother and love your sister, and not just always want to think that you're better or this person, or living off of stereotypes that are not even real stereotypes. So I think it's time for America and the world to stand up and see that there's a better way and want a better way, and show it every day with your actions. That's basically all I have to say about that.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Amen. Definitely.
I tell you what, I think the problem is, I think that there's not enough Schoolhouse Rock anymore. They should have never took school TV, learning about the Constitution, talking about sitting on Capitol Hill, learning about Mr. Bill. I'm talking about the preamble. I learned it word for word, we the people, in order to form a more perfect union. I'm telling you. We had some things, we had fun things that we did when we were kids. We taken out of the equation to remind us of who we are as a people. And so, just to take it lightly, you guys, I love you. This show was once again another great episode of Run That Back Sunday Brunch. We definitely gonna have to toast it up to that.
Here we go.
To another episode that we've had, and I wish you guys the best week that you could possibly have, full of dreams and champagne wishes and caviar dreams. If still,
All right. All right.
Yeah, definitely. To that. But yeah, I'll of course I'll throw this up, and um, we'll talk off the cuff. Penny, I didn't call you yesterday. I fell asleep.
Oh
I
no,
really
girl.
did.
I don't even, girl. I already know people get busy. I was available, like I told you, in awe of all this, and then I had actually I hurt my ribs earlier in the day, so they were going in and out. Well, not earlier in the day, 2 days ago, believe it or not. Girl, I slipped in the tub, I think from all my hair products or something, and I hit my ribs, and my ribs were like hurting like a mug yesterday. So I was just like icing off and on the couch, like literally just watching these people lose their mind up out here. Huh?
You better take it easy on that silicone you using in the shower. You slipping.
Yeah, yeah. In this particular house, the tub was already slippery, and I should have had the mat in there, but I slipped, and girl, I hit my ribs so hard it knocked the living wind out of me. Like
It hurt.
2, 3 days ago. It's crazy because I can just today like lift my arm up
You
without my ribs like just killing me. And I didn't want to go to the doctor because I was like, oh,
are you
COVID-19, COVID-19
No.
might be there. So I'm like, nah, let me see how it
you
goes for about a week.
ice-
And if the pain is still there, then I'll go. But and the pain's gonna be there with a rib. You know how it is. You don't know everything as an athlete, but you know how your body feels. That I was gonna, because I'm just thinking like it's just bruised. Let me keep that ice on and off. And if it isn't by a week, then I'll go to the doctor. But I was like, nah, I ain't really trying to go over there right now. Because
Might
okay?
pick
for your
something
ribs, it's
else
not
up.
much you can do. It's
So
not much
like
you
this.
can do
Right.
unless it's broken.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You're gonna
Oh,
be
God, it's like, oh my God, to get up. Like sometimes to get up out the chair, it hurts. Trust me, to get up sometimes. I'd be like, oh, yeah, I'd be doing that. It was excruciating pain. Knocked the wind out of me, straight out of me.
wow. That's crazy. You gotta take care of yourself, man.